Looking for these better days.
It is Tuesday, September 2nd. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels get blown out last night, 48-14 at the hands of TCU. The first half does go under, though, depending on the number. Also, a clean sweep for us on the diamond as we look to continue to stay hot here moving into the first week of the NFL season. Let's start with that game last night. TCU, a 48-14 win over North Carolina. I mentioned the first half did go under. We gave it out at 27.5. And this is the thing. Numbers matter. So it lands 27 with TCU having a 20-7 lead at the half thanks to a last-second field goal. If you got 27.5 and played the under, congratulations, you got yourself a win. You had all week to get that number. It's not like it was only available the day of the game or right before the game. No, it was available for a long time. And we gave it out on yesterday morning's show. That was our best bet. It was up on betterday.com, which, by the way, if you are not subscribed to betterday.com, make sure you do so. We have an announcement coming in a couple of days. Something really cool that we're going to be rolling out here as a feature for subscribers. It is free right now, so make sure you are subscribed. Our picks on the website, a clean sweep, 4-0 yesterday, 3 in baseball, 1 in college football. But anyway, 27.5 was the number to play. If you got it at 27, which is what it went down to yesterday when money came in on the under, then you wound up with a push. Well, speaking of the total for the game, it winds up going over 48-14 as TCU scores 21 points in the third quarter. They add a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They had a couple of defensive scores in this one. There was pick six as well as a fumble return for a touchdown. And shout out Jared Smith on yesterday's show, talked about and Barnes, the running back that could have a major impact in this game, and he had a 75-yard touchdown run for TCU in that game. So we look at the box score, and it was a domination. Josh Hoover, 27 of 36 passing, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, did throw an interception. Barnes wound up with 113 yards and a touchdown, the long run of 75 yards. And then the backups got plenty of run here for TCU as well. For North Carolina, they looked incredible on their opening drive. The first drive, which it's to be expected because we know that the first drives are scripted. The first 15 plays or so are scripted. And in that opening drive, Gio Lopez and North Carolina looked great. They ran the ball effectively. They looked great on the RPO plays. Gio Lopez got the ball out quickly, and Freddie Kitchens had a plan. And North Carolina executed that plan. And they went up 7-0. And all of a sudden, social media was all abuzz. Here we go. This is what we expected from Bill Belichick. This is what we expected from the new look North Carolina Tar Heels. Then the rest of the game happened. TCU evened the score, and they did not look back. Gio Lopez finishes just 4 of 10 passing for 69 yards and an interception. Caleb Hood, 10 carries for just 31 yards. He did rush a touchdown in. Max Johnson came in to play quarterback, and kudos to Max Johnson. I mean, this is a kid who battled from injuries, started his career, if you remember, at LSU many years ago, then went to Texas A&M, had a really bad injury a season ago at North Carolina. He's back, rehab, and he got into this game, and he was 9 of 11 passing for 103 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown pass to his brother, Jake Johnson. So congratulations to Max Johnson. And for North Carolina, hey, like we joked around yesterday, we're on to Charlotte. That's exactly the mentality now. You put this loss behind you, you reevaluate, and now I don't think that they're going to get the same amount of love that they've gotten in the market coming into this game. Because if you recall, North Carolina opened up in the summer as the favorite in this game, which is insulting after we watched it play out. And even TCU minus 3.5 was a little bit insulting. And the idea that North Carolina, which was a complete unknown, was going to get by this veteran-led TCU team with a quarterback that's been in this Sonny Dykes offense for several seasons. I understand Stephen Belichick comes over as the defensive coordinator, and he brought over his top cornerback from Washington, but this was always going to be a tough ask. Now, I didn't lay it with TCU. I put out a video from yesterday's pod, which was all on our social medias, and you could check that out. Everything's better day. And in the video, I said, there's what do we expect from this North Carolina team? It's a complete unknown. And the comparison that I drew was to Deion Sanders in Colorado, who was a complete unknown in that first game a couple of years ago. And what happened? They wound up upsetting TCU. Well, obviously, Sonny Dykes remembered that, and he wasn't going to let it happen again. But the difference between that Colorado team, and I mentioned this on the video, I mentioned this on yesterday's show, was that Deion brought in Shedeur Sanders at quarterback and Travis Hunter at wide receiver, along with a slew of other players from Jackson State. There was continuity, and there was obviously NFL caliber talent on the team. I don't know if we have that with North Carolina. I understand you go to the transfer portal, you bring in all these players. I don't think they're NFL caliber players. I don't think Gio Lopez is an NFL quarterback. So this was never going to pull. I shouldn't say that, because obviously hindsight's 2020. But after watching this game, I think it's obvious. The idea that North Carolina actually opened up as a favorite in this game is pretty insulting to Sonny Dykes and TCU. Good win for TCU. I'm excited to see what Josh Hoover does. Year 3 in this offense. I mean, he looks good. Well, he looked good last night against this North Carolina team. And now, you move on to week number 2. And as I mentioned, North Carolina will take on Charlotte in their second game. Charlotte, a team that took a ton of money in their first game. And it was a pick that I made in the Westgate contest, which I immediately regretted, because they were 5.5-point dogs. They moved all the way to a 3-point dog. So much money came in on Charlotte, and they got absolutely blown out. They got blown out in their week 1 game against App State, 34-11. So now they're home hosting North Carolina. Bill Belichick and this team trying to rebound from that loss. I'm very curious to see where the market goes in this one. It is a short week for Bill Belichick, playing on Saturday, and he's accustomed to that, playing on Mondays and then playing on Sundays, I guess, or, the Thursday night football games. So, but it is a short week for North Carolina now, having played here on Monday and then having to go and play against Charlotte here coming up on Saturday. For TCU, meanwhile, they have a week off before they take on Abilene Christian in a glorified scrimmage. They should absolutely dominate that game before a big-time matchup against SMU, and that game coming up on September 20th. Programming note, speaking of college football, coming up later on today, it is the first of 2 episodes this week for the Bet US College Football Show. Myself, Joshua Nunn, Kyle Hunter will be on the broadcast 1 o'clock Eastern time, streaming on the Bet US TV YouTube channel. You can just follow it on Twitter or follow me on Twitter at Scott's On Air, and I'll have the links and retweet the videos and whatnot. Have several games that we are going to be previewing today, and then a bunch of games that we're going to preview tomorrow as well. So each and every Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll be hosting the Bet US TV College Football Show. So please join us. Hope you guys enjoy all of the college football content. Well, it's week 1 of the NFL season, and the report coming out of LA from Sean McVay is that Matthew Stafford is expected to start coming up this Sunday against the Houston Texans. Now, you remember, I made the bold statement weeks and weeks ago that I thought Matthew Stafford was going to miss this game. I thought that the injury was worse than initially reported, which it turns out I was correct about. Stafford missed the majority of training camp, didn't play at all during the preseason, but he has been a full participant in practice, and Sean McVay expects him to go here against the Texans. And okay, that's fine. I mean, I still like my Stafford under passing yardage bet, because if it's not this game, odds are he's missing a game at some point during the season. Rams currently 3-point favorites at circa over Houston. There is a 2.5 on the board, but for the most part, it is -3 across the board. As the news of Stafford starting obviously is going to affect the line a bit, as we were at 2.5 for quite some time. I mean, it was 3. It went down to 2.5, I guess, with the uncertainty of Stafford, and I would have expected that to drop down even further if it was announced that Stafford wasn't going to play and it was going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. But with this news that Stafford is expected to play, then the line has adjusted and has gone back to Rams -3. Elsewhere, Micah Parsons for the Green Bay Packers. Apparently the back injury was real. I mean, we thought he was making it up as the reason why he wasn't practicing with the Dallas Cowboys, but according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Micah Parsons, he's been dealing with an L5, L4 facet joint sprain in his back and may receive an injection before Sunday's game against the Lions, if needed, to help him play. So he's been practicing with the Green Bay Packers, and I'm very curious to see what he does here against the Detroit Lions. I'm just very curious about this game to begin with. Packers are favored here over the Lions, and you look at, Detroit with the two new coordinators. What does this offense look like? What is this offense going to look like going up against a Packers defense that now has Micah Parsons rushing after quarterback? How do the Lions' offensive line look with a new center? I have a lot of questions, and I don't know if they'll all be answered coming up here on Sunday, but I absolutely cannot wait to see these games. I'm so excited that football's back. Like, you have no idea. And we're going to be just locked in here for the NFL. I had my fantasy draft yesterday, as I'm sure a lot of you did out there as well. We're going to maybe do a little fantasy stuff on this pod. We'll get some of our fantasy friends to, break down some things for us here. But I didn't get the plan that I expected to have. I expected to get Malik Neighbors at 10th overall. He did not fall to me. I wound up taking Christian McCaffrey at 10th overall. And you guys know, if you've listened to me before, if you listen to my VSiN shows, I'm already in on Christian McCaffrey, comeback player of the year. The 49ers schedule, the defenses that they play, McCaffrey should have a big year in this offense. And I actually went heavy on the 49ers. I got Ricky Pearsall. I got Brock Purdy as my quarterback. I just think the Niners are going to have a big year this year, and mostly due to the schedule. See, that's the thing. Like, when I did all my strength of schedule work and I did stuff based off the Vegas projections, like for the amount of points that you score and looking at the defenses from a season ago. And I know defense sometimes can't be sticky from year to year, but the 49ers schedule should be very, very manageable and conducive to them scoring a ton of points. In the second round, I went with Brian Thomas Jr., and I really like what Liam Cohn can bring to this Jaguars offense. I think they're going to pass the ball more in the red zone, something that he did with Baker Mayfield a lot with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. The reason why Baker had a monster season throwing for over 40 touchdowns. And I think that Trevor Lawrence will absolutely see an uptick in touchdown passes, and Brian Thomas Jr. could be the biggest beneficiary of it. So I'm happy with my first two selections, but it's all crapshoot when it comes to fantasy football. A couple of guys get injured. Next thing you know, your season's upside down, and it's who makes the biggest waiver wire claims. And it's all going to be fun when we progress throughout the entirety of the NFL season. All right, let's get to some Major League Baseball.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Baseball yesterday, a lot of day games with it being Labor Day, including two Sunday night fades that we played, and they went 1-1. It was the Brewers falling to the Phillies 10-8. And that was a weird back and forth game. But if you listened to us on the pod and you followed the picks up on betterday.com, we played the Brewers in the first 5 innings, backing Jacob Misiorowski here going up against Taijuan Walker. Brewers took a 4-0 lead in the second inning, and they were leading 5-3 at the end of 5. And then Jacob Misiorowski gives up, he only goes 4 1/3 innings. and Ashby comes in and only goes 2/3 of an innings. Mears comes in, Nick Mears, and the Phillies score 3 runs in the top of the 6th. Brewers responded with a run in the bottom of the 6th. Both teams scored 2 in the 8th, and then it was the Phillies scoring 2 in the top of the 9th, breaking an 8-8 tie as they win 10-8. So they win and blow up the Sunday Night Fade, but the Chicago Cubs defeated the Atlanta Braves in extra innings to cash our Sunday Night Fade. So we got a little fortunate there. And we also got fortunate with our Reds money line play against the Blue Jays, but we also got unlucky in that game. It was one of those type of games. Like we got unlucky and lucky in the same game. And I was almost regretting not taking the Reds in the first 5 innings, backing Hunter Green against Chris Bassett, because that was the handicap. Well, the Reds had a 2-0 lead after 5. Blue Jays scored 1 in the 7th to make it 2-1. It's a 2-1 game going into the top of the 9th, and Emilio Pagan blows the save, giving up 2 home runs in the top of the 9th inning. He gives up 3 runs. The Jays take a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the 9th, and in the bottom of the 9th, the Reds score 3 runs to walk it off and win 5-4. So a clean sweep for us on the diamond yesterday. Reds money line, Cubs money line, and Brewers in the first 5. Now, with that loss for the Toronto Blue Jays, now the American League East standings even more interesting. Yankees and Red Sox, because the Red Sox won yesterday against the Guardians, Yankees and Red Sox are both 2.5 games back of the Blue Jays for first place in the American League East. Other playoff races, the Dodgers 2.5 games up on the Padres in the West. Those are your shortest leads right now. The Rangers, who are dealing with so many players on the IL, they win again, a 10-inning victory over Arizona, 7-5. Mariners lose 10-2 to the Rays. So the Texas Rangers, 1.5 games back of the Mariners for the third wild card in the American League. The Royals, just 2.5 games back of the Seattle Mariners. Boy, if Seattle's not careful, they could drop out of this thing, and that would just be a disaster because they've had a good season. Obviously, Cal Raleigh's hitting a ton of home runs, terrible batting average, but he's hitting a ton of home runs. And you went out at the trade deadline and you made the biggest acquisition. You bring in Eugenio Suarez, and you brought in Josh Naylor. So the team was aggressive at the deadline. They obviously going all in for this season. For them to not make the playoffs, that would be an epic failure. Let's take a look at the schedule for tonight in Major League Baseball. Dodgers are at the Pirates. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. Carmen Mlodzinski goes for the Pirates. Dodgers are -180. Kershaw 9-2 on the year with a 3.06 ERA. In the month of August, Kershaw made 5 starts for the Dodgers. The Dodgers were 5-0 in those starts. Kershaw, who won all 5 of those games, so he was 5-0 himself, a 1.88 ERA in the 5 starts in the month of August. 28 2/3 innings pitched, only 6 runs allowed. Strikeout numbers aren't there, only 19 Ks, but he only walked 3 batters in those 28 2/3 innings. Kershaw just pitching. I mean, that is the definition of pitching. So Dodgers heavy favorites -180 tonight against the Pirates. Mets are at the Tigers. Nolan McLean, the young stud for the Mets, goes up against Sawyer Gipson-Long, a relief pitcher who is probably going to just be an opener here. Although we'll see. He has had some starts this season, but we'll see how long he goes here in this game for the Tigers. For Nolan McLean, I mean, this kid has exceeded everybody's expectation. 3 starts now for the Mets, 20 1/3 innings pitched. He's only allowed 2 runs, and that came on a home run against Atlanta in his second start. 21 strikeouts in the 20 1/3 innings pitched, only 4 walks, and those 4 walks came in his first game against Seattle. He had 8 shutout innings against Philly back on Wednesday. Prior to that against Atlanta, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, only 2 runs allowed on 4 hits, and 5 1/3 shutout innings with 2 hits allowed against Seattle in his first start. So Nolan McLean is the real deal here for the New York Mets. Something that I would look at is the strikeout prop, because if the books are going to keep listing this kid at 4.5 to 5.5, I mean, you got to keep looking at the overs. I mean, he has hit this in all these games. and he's at 5.5 lined for today. It is plus 104 to the over. I like it. I like Nolan McLean over 5.5 strikeouts. This kid is the real deal. This kid has been great for the New York Mets. That will be the play for me, going with the over 5.5 strikeouts for Nolan McLean. Blue Jays are at the Reds. Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays. Nick Lodolo goes for the Reds. Slade Ciccone for the Guardians, and Garrett Crochet goes for the Red Sox. Red Sox are massive favorites, minus 255. I mean, I can't lay that number, but Garrett Crochet has been great. He is pitching for the American League Cy Young. Updating that American League Cy Young market, it is a two-man race between Garrett Crochet and Tarek Skubal. And right now, Tarek Skubal minus 250 and Crochet plus 200. So he needs a big outing here tonight to get himself closer in that race. Although, as we always say, these markets are reactive. They are not predictive. I think this race is very, very close. If you look at both of these pitchers' advanced numbers, they are both very, very close to each other. Marlins are at the Nationals. Adam Mazur goes for the Marlins and Cade Cavalli for the Nationals. Mariners are at the Rays. Brian Wu for Seattle. Drew Rasmussen for Tampa. Angels at the Royals. Michael Lorenzen goes for KC. Not sure what the Angels are going to do just yet. Joey Wentz starts for the Braves against Shota Imanaga and the Cubs. Chicago a heavy favorite, minus 180. White Sox are at the Twins. Davis Martin for the White Sox. Simeon Woods Richardson for the Twins. And I say the same thing every time Sim pitches is he's not going to go into games. We talked about playing his under outs recorded the last time he started because I said he wasn't going to go 5. He didn't even go 4. 3 2/3 innings pitched. They took him out of the game. So keep an eye on the outs prop for Woods Richardson because he's not going to go 5 innings. Or at the most, I'm saying he's going to go 5 innings here for the Twins and likely being taken out before 5 innings. A's are at the Cardinals. Luis Severino goes for the A's. Miles Michaelis for the Cardinals. Yankees are at the Astros. What a series this is going to be. Max Fried on the bump for the Yankees. Framber Valdez for the Astros. Now, the Yankees are minus 120. And this is fascinating. Because, and I know we can say Max Fried is back, right? His last couple of starts were like Max Fried. The Max Fried that we saw earlier in the year, that's what the Yankees have gotten the last 2 starts. 6 shutout innings against Boston, 7 innings, only 1 run on 4 hits allowed against Washington. That was Max Fried that we saw in the beginning of the year. Prior to that, Fried was awful. 7 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs. It's been bad. But he appears to be back in the groove. As I mentioned, the last 13 innings he's pitched, he's only allowed 1 run and 8 combined hits. But we have Framber Valdez on the mound for the Astros, who at home this year has just incredible splits. He is 6-2 with a 1.7 ERA at home this year. On the road, a 4.74 ERA. At home, a 1.7 ERA. Here's what I think happens in this game. We are getting a reduced total because of the starting pitching. Because it's Max Fried and Framber Valdez, we are getting a total of 7.5 in this game. Both of these lineups are too good to have a game lined at 7.5. You have the Crawford boxes in left field, which the Yankee righties like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton should be able to pull the ball into the Crawford boxes. You have the righties for the Astros, like Jose Altuve, and a guy that goes oppo, even he's a lefty, but, Yordan Alvarez goes oppo all the time. I just feel like you have 2 lefty pitchers on the mound. You have a short porch in left field with the Crawford boxes, 2 potent offenses here in the Yankees and the Astros. 7.5, I get it. These starting pitchers are great. But once the starting pitchers are out, now I got the bullpens in. Yeah, I'm not exactly in love with the bullpens for either of these teams. So now the one thing that you can say is, the Astros offense hasn't been potent. And I'll give you that because they've gone through their stints. But in their last home game, they scored 8 runs against the Angels. Prior to that, it's been a bad run for them. But this is a team that's capable of blowing up at any point. I just feel like maybe it doesn't have to be the Astros. Maybe it's just the Yankees. I just think that 7.5 is too low for this game I'm going to go over 7.5, Yankees and the Astros. Two other games on your schedule here for tonight in Major League Baseball. And it could be a playoff atmosphere. Who knows in Houston? And maybe the pitchers are completely locked down, but I think the over is the play. I think the total is just too low with these offenses. Giants are at the Rockies. Logan Webb goes for the Giants. Kyle Freeland for the Rockies. Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. They're heavy favorites against the the Orioles. And Tyler Wells back on the mound here for Baltimore, has not pitched since last year, dealing with an injury. Last time we saw this guy pitch, it was April 12th of last year. So welcome back, Tyler Wells. And you guys know when a guy comes off the IL, makes his first start, it's always dicey. So I would like to, caution here. Maybe you go under outs recorded, or if that's not on the board, I just think that we have to be cautious here when it comes to this game. Oh, and the Rangers take on the Diamondbacks. Noah Krismat is going to be on the mound. Nabel Krismat is on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Don't know what the Rangers are going to do at their pitching situation just yet, but the Rangers, as I mentioned before, they are decimated by injuries right now. Tons of players going on the IL. All right, that'll wrap it up for this episode. I want to remind you guys to pay attention to my social media, my Twitter page at Scott's On Air, because I'll tweet out the links and the video for the upcoming BetUS TV show today, the BetUS TV College Football Show. We do every Tuesday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. So make sure that you are tuned into that. And coming up later on this week, we are going to unveil a pretty cool feature or a pretty cool opportunity, I should say, for Better Day subscribers. So make sure you go to betterday.com. Make sure you subscribe. It's free right now. Go subscribe. You'll get the daily newsletter. You'll get all the picks are in the newsletter. Plus, you'll have access to the picks page on the website. But we're going to do something cool later on this week to get ready for the start of football season. I think you guys will enjoy it, and hopefully you will get as much out of it as I think that we are providing by doing this. So thank you all for the feedback so far. I appreciate it. Continue to provide your feedback. We are on YouTube as well, so you can find us, Better Day, Bettor Day, on YouTube, where I post the videos of the pods, especially the Football Friday pods and the Monday morning quarterback pods, different preview clips where I was wrong on Notre Dame against Clemson. I'll admit that. I was wrong. It's going to happen. I'm not going to be right all the time, okay? No one is. So you can make fun of me for all you want on that. But yeah, I was wrong. So, but we weren't wrong yesterday as we cashed another first half under. And we'll see if that carries momentum that carries into the start of the NFL season. I'm Scott Satterberg, once again, always on Twitter at Scott's On Air. You can find us on all social media at Better Day. And here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.